Hello there everybody and welcome to a new video for Age of Wonders 4. In this one I want to talk about 10 tips and tricks for mid and late game. Stuff that will help you to survive the onslaught of the armies that come and help you to win the games and close them out. So we're going to start with number 1. I want to talk about the importance of what I personally like to call throwaway armies. So there are times where you don't want to send your best guys at a target. You really don't. You probably want to soften up the enemy, and therefore it really pays off to have one main Doomstack, and in good times, when you have money like that, train up some low-tier stuff, summon up some low-tier units depending on your build, and just have 3 banners of junk that you can just throw at the enemy if they happen to send a Doomstack that is heavier than the stuff that you can counter without any heavier losses. So throwaway armies are really a massively nice trick to turn the tides, and you don't need to have 3 banners full of units for a throwaway army. You can also leave it at a smaller numbers. What matters is that you put something in the way of the enemy's massive armies to put a dent into them, so you don't have to fight against a fully fledged army with your main army. Now, that's number 1. Number 2, I want to talk about city enchantments and map spells. These are easy to underestimate in their power. City enchantments often give you the ability to change the battlefield entirely. So here Gremlin Ambushers is a wonderful example. You can target a city, whatever city, and you will receive summons every turn. You can use that in so many ways. And there's also a lot of map spells that let you alter terrain, so hurt the enemy's economy from afar, but usually there's a Spelljammer blocking that, so if you don't want that to be happening to you, build Spelljammers, guys. And, well, you can still do a lot of damage, especially when you go into a enemy province, pillage their Spelljammer, and start altering their economy, and then you really notice that you will put a heavy dent into the enemy. All these strategies pay off in so far as they make the heavy fights a lot easier to carry by either crippling out the enemy's fighting power by debilitating them with map spells, or busting their economy up by sending a pillaging party and just turning everything into Arctic stuff or desolation. Both things work out quite well. Number 3, I want to talk about how important it is to take out your enemies as early as possible / decimate them as early as possible. In this game, you see here there's already 1 enemy gone. That's because I assimilated the entire territory here very early on in the game, and I can strongly recommend you to just try to focus your forces into one target that is really a problem in your vicinity before you roll on over into the real later stages of the game. It pays off to try to take them down while they are relatively small, of course, as long as you can tackle them. But the closer to the border to somebody, the more probable it'll be that they'll declare war on you anyway. So it might pay off to just try to take them down while they are not fond enough of themselves to attack you. This is often really a big difference in the outcome of the game. Whether you wait for the enemy to declare war on you, or you go proactively and just whack them before they're ready. Now, number 4 goes into a similar venue. I want to talk about the fact that the AI gets to cheat on higher difficulty levels, but it only gets to cheat because it's so dumb at fighting. So if you ever fight against extremely unfavorable odds, don't let these numbers here scare you off. The AI is really horribly bad at positioning. It's really horribly bad at making decisions in terms of prioritization of its units. And there are so many AI mistakes that you can capitalize on that the higher difficulty levels feel more like, not so much as if the AI was cheating, but if it had just the tools to give it a chance to compete with the human mind. In short, try to utilize as many dumb factors of the AI as you can when you're going for the later stages of the game, when the armies get bigger, the numbers get higher. You really will notice that. For one example, the AI loves to just throw everything at you. You just need to hunker down and wait them out. In most combats, they will come at you. It doesn't apply everywhere, and it requires some study of the game to see all the AI glitches, so to say. But the more you play the game, the more you get good at beating enemies with unfavorable odds, because there are just a few things that you can capitalize on. And don't see that as a bad thing. This is just your opportunity to kill off an AI that has more than double the production capacity of yours. Otherwise, there would be no way you'd be winning the game. Anywho, take that as something to work with, and don't get sad about the fact that the AI is dumb. It is so much fun to show your own human superiority this way, at least for me there, that is. So, number 5. When you're going into the mid and late game, you will have one main Doomstack. This is not how it should look like. Try to replace, the later the game goes, more and more units with higher tiers. Try to have at least tier 3 units in your main Doomstack and upgrade it bit by bit by bit until you have a roster that's only consisting out of tier 3 and tier 4 or 5 units. This will be your main force to work with. Whenever there's going to be something really bad to handle, these guys will pick up the dust. This way, you also start to sculpt out the throwaway armies that I was talking about automatically, because you need to put the excess units somewhere, and at the same time you will have a big strike force to either conquer the enemy or defend your home turf when there's huge massive amounts of enemies attacking you. Either way, it's really important that you pay attention to upgrading one centerpiece of your army. The later the game goes, the more important it is that you have one massively overpowered stack of units that you can send into the face of real big hard hitters. Number 6, use war as a tool. That means you don't need to have plans to actually conquer an enemy. This guy, for example, I'm on the verge of declaring him war. I haven't fully decided yet if I take this guy or the guy below me, because 2 reasons. I want to intercept his armies. I want to destroy his armies. I don't necessarily want to conquer his city, but there's one thing. There are so many ways and means in this game to earn something by killing off units. There's massive amounts of upgrades here, let alone Shadow, which gives you knowledge by defeating heroes. All these things, you can only gain those benefits if you have actually a war. And the other thing, which is really, really good about this, the moment the AI has lost units, it realizes it has to reproduce units. That means it doesn't go as hard into the victory condition anymore, and you successfully delayed the enemy's progression by just going and hunting some troops of his and just reaping the benefits. You not necessarily need to conquer their hometown. You also can just send some scout parties to pillage those provinces. You can do so much with war, and it is a waste not to do that. It is not needed to have plans to eliminate the enemy by just waging war, but I personally think in the mid and late game you should always have at least one war active that you milk for the benefits, because almost any faction benefits from active warfare because so many reasons. Now, number 7. I want to talk about opportunities, and you should seize them. Here's one brilliant example for that. These guys here, I assume they will be declaring probably war on them by themselves, but as you see here, there are 4 stacks like that. If I'd be now going with my throwaway army here and attack there, notice how they get highlighted. I get the ability to just take a attack where I only have to deal with 2/3 of their major strike force, and that is a massive opportunity, because after my victory or loss, whatever, they will be strongly injured by that, and there are so many points where the AI just seems to forget about the fact that you can just ambush them. So I've seen several moments where AI sent a trio of high-level heroes past me, a AI that I already planned to attack. And those are the moments where I'm like, yeah, I actually wanted to declare war anyways. Now seems to be a great moment. And these opportunities, I often had the impression that this was already the first step towards victory, because you strip away key resources from the AI, and you get some sort of advantage out of that for sure. Especially taking down heroes is always massive, because the massive rewards of heroes in this game, if you don't have any keystones or anything, you still have your prison and your crypt. Every culture has that, and as you see here, we already have a couple of them. You can sell them, you can milk them for knowledge. There's just so much you can do. Therefore, use your opportunities where you can whack an enemy when they're not really expecting it. The AI is very vulnerable to these moves. Number 8. Force science advantage. Seriously, you should always try to crank out as much knowledge as you probably can. The thing is quite easy. The AI might be dumb on many ends, but the moment the AI has access to high quality tools like tier 4 units, tier 4 tomes, it goes so much harder, because they just have so massive spells. The spells are so busted, you don't need to be smart to use them, As soon as the AI it enters the tier 4 tome area, it goes so much more dangerous, and you will have it so much harder to mitigate losses and all. Therefore, forcing a knowledge advantage gives you the opportunity to either compete with the totally busted cheating AI, or that you allows you to stomp the AI because you got tier 4 tomes and they don't. This is, of course, if the spells are already busted without having a brain, imagine what happens if you have a human brain with them. So you get the idea. And therefore, science is totally a totally foolproof way to assert dominance in the mid and late game area. So very important thing. Number 9, I want to talk about the importance of teleporters and roads when you enter the mid and late game. You have these in the general tree. Building roads does cost you gold, but at some point of the game, it is really not relevant anymore. These 3 gold, they pay off so quickly, and you should really try to build some roads in your empire. And when you get to the point, the ability to build teleporter provinces is just very massive, as it allows you to transport your armies in the blink of an eye from one end of the world to another, if you pull it off correctly. If you don't want to go for the teleporter provinces, and if you need some quick fix ASAP, there's always the Tome of Teleportation for you that has just the tools to make this stuff way more accessible. So altogether, map logistics are massively important later on, because you need to react on things that happen on the map. In this game, traversing water is dirty cheap and dirty easy. Therefore, natural choke points like these are not really any protection, because the enemy can come from any side. Therefore, you really need the ability to be flexible in your movements. So think ahead in that department before you have a massive Doomstack in front of your throne city and you're wondering how the hell you're supposed to get your main army back. Number 10, I want to talk as the last thing for this video about the importance of fortifications, and later the game goes. You have lots of buildings like these battlements that give you fortification health. Fortification health is a massively important currency in the later stages of the game, because as long as there is fortification health, the enemy cannot take your city and plunder it or whatever. That means this is basically time you have to react to a attack, and this is so really important to get yourself time to react when something happens, because if you don't have massive fortifications, if you only have the 20 fortification health that you get from the palisade walls, you will notice that the enemy has a very fast approach to taking down your cities, whereas with a high amount of that, you just can move your armies chilled back home. Also, another big emphasis here, in case you jumped over the timestamps, the Spelljammer province is massive, especially in the later stages of the game. You don't want the enemy to have free entry with world map spells on your domain. No, no, and no. This is really, really important, because otherwise you can be nuked from the other half of the map, and that's just no fun. Alrighty, my friends, that's this for this list. Of course, mid and late game has way more things to talk about than just 10 points, so leave me your comments down below what you have on your mind. Probably I'm going to make a part 2 of this video, because I see that mid and late game are really is really a massive topic, but I did my best to go for the most important parts, in my humble opinion at least. Leave a thumbs up or a subscription if you agree with me that this video was fun to watch, and of course consider checking out the playlist down there. There's lots of Age of Wonders info videos from my side, and I'd be delighted no, if you'd give them a look. Apart from that, thanks for hanging out here, and have a wonderful day.